Let me ask you something that's going to sit with you. Two people start at the exact same place. Same paycheck. Same rent. Same city. Same student loans hanging over their heads like a cloud that never moves. 5 years later, one of them has an emergency fund, a growing investment account, and doesn't panic when their car breaks down. The other one is overdrafting their checking account 3 days before payday, rotating between credit cards, and still convinced that the next raise is going to fix everything. Same starting point. Completely different financial realities. What happened between those two people? It wasn't an inheritance. It wasn't a better job. It wasn't even a higher salary. It was one decision, one single psychological pattern, that split their entire futures apart. And by the end of this video, you're going to see exactly what that decision was. Because if you're honest with yourself, you probably already know which person you're closer to right now. Meet Marcus and Jordan. Both 27. Both pulling in about $52,000 a year from similar mid-level jobs in Atlanta. Both renting apartments, both paying off student loans, both sending a little money home when they can. Neither of them grew up wealthy. Neither of them got a financial literacy class that actually worked. Their credit scores at the start are almost identical, decent enough, but nothing to celebrate. Their stress levels are the same too, that constant low-grade financial anxiety that most Americans in their late 20s carry around like it's just part of being alive. Now here is the only difference between these two men. When Marcus gets his direct deposit, he feels the money and then spends. When Jordan gets his direct deposit, he moves a fixed amount into a separate savings account before he even opens his banking app to see what's there. That is the entire difference. No side hustle yet. No inheritance. No lucky break. Just the sequence in which they each chose to handle their own money. Sounds small, right? Keep watching. In the first few months, honestly, both of them feel completely fine. Marcus is actually feeling better than fine. He's grabbing food when he wants, upgraded his gym membership, bought the sneakers he had bookmarked for 3 months, and never has to be the one who says, "I can't make it," when friends are going out on a Friday. Life feels good. He tells himself he works hard and he deserves to enjoy his money. And you know what? He's not entirely wrong, that part about deserving to enjoy it. Jordan, on the other hand, is quietly auto-transferring $400 every month into a high-yield savings account he made intentionally inconvenient to access. He's not suffering. He still goes out, still lives his life. But he's a little quieter about money. Less spontaneous with plans. A couple of his friends joke that he got cheap since he started his little savings thing. And here's the part that matters: if you looked at both their lives from the outside in these early months, you would almost certainly say Marcus seems to be doing better. He looks more comfortable. More free. More like he's actually living. And that feeling, that powerful illusion that spending freely equals financial wellness, is the exact psychological trap where the debt cycle is quietly born. Not in a dramatic moment. Not in a crisis. In the perfectly ordinary, comfortable, completely invisible feeling that everything is fine. Then month 8 arrives. Marcus's car needs a repair. The mechanic says $1,100. Marcus doesn't have it sitting anywhere. Not because he blew money on something wild, he genuinely cannot trace exactly where it went. There was the concert, the weekend trip, a few too many DoorDash nights, the subscription services he forgot to cancel, the impulse buy that made total sense at the time. 14 months in, Marcus gets the raise he was counting on. $8,000 more a year. And here is the twist that the personal finance world almost never talks about loudly enough: the raise didn't fix anything. Because the psychological pattern never changed, the spending expanded to perfectly absorb the new income within 60 days. A slightly nicer apartment because he deserved an upgrade. A car payment for something more reliable, which actually makes sense on the surface. A few more subscriptions, slightly better restaurants, a little less guilt about the credit card because hey, he's making more now. This is called lifestyle inflation, and it is so smooth, so natural, so completely socially encouraged that it never once feels like a trap while it is happening. It just feels like progress. The credit card balance is still there. Actually, it is now a little higher because he moved apartments and there were moving costs and a new couch that was an investment in his space. Jordan also got a raise around the same time. He bumped his automatic transfer from $400 to $650 a month. His lifestyle improved too. He is not living like a monk, that is not the point, but the core ratio stayed locked in. Save first. Build on what remains. The habit was the same at $52,000 as it was at $60,000. That consistency, boring as it sounds, was quietly becoming one of the most powerful financial forces in high. Here is what is actually happening beneath the surface, because this is not just a story about two guys and their savings habits. There is a system running in both of their lives, and most people never see it until it has already shaped their entire financial trajectory. For Marcus, the system is reactive. Money comes in, life responds to it, money goes out, and whatever tension or shortfall appears gets handled by borrowing, which creates future tension, which gets handled by borrowing again. Now, to be completely fair, Jordan's path is not without its own costs. There were weekends he passed on. There were moments of FOMO that were genuinely uncomfortable. There is a version of his early 20s that was slightly less spontaneous than it could have been. And Marcus? He genuinely enjoyed those years in ways that had real value. The experiences were real. The memories were real. The connection with friends over those dinners and trips, that mattered. This is not a story about one person being smart and one person being foolish. It is a story about trade-offs that are almost never presented honestly. The debt cycle does not trap people because they are careless or irresponsible. It traps them because the short-term version of spending feels like freedom, and the short-term version of saving feels like restriction. That illusion is the real enemy. Not the credit card. Not the interest rate. The feeling. Closing lesson, 10:35 to 11 o'clock. Here is the lesson that goes beyond money. The debt cycle is not really about debt. It is about the gap between who you are in this moment and who you are deciding to become. Every financial habit you have right now is a vote for a future version of yourself. Marcus was not voting against himself on purpose. He just was not voting at all, he was letting the moment decide. Jordan was not extraordinary. He just made one quiet, boring, automatic decision that the moment could not override. You do not need a perfect plan. You do not need to figure out every number. You just need one system that works while you are not thinking about it. Because the real reason people stay trapped in debt cycles is not that they lack money. It is that they are waiting for a feeling, readiness, the right moment, the next raise, that was never coming. The moment is now. The amount does not matter yet. The system does.